are. Oh, see, you're a lady.
Breaking the rules.
We're going to have the toast to the Lassies by Phil, which I'm sure will be very interesting. So don't touch the whiskey yet.
You've been told.
Yeah. So everybody, I give you Phil.
Madam Chair, distinguished guests, lassies and laddies, when I was asked to propose the toast to the lassies, I was surprised and I was honoured. I was surprised because, as my accent gives away, I'm English and I'm not Scottish. Tonight, of course, is one of the most important nights in the Scottish calendar, and to have an Englishman speaking is rare. There's no Scottish in me, and of course there never has been. Well, apart from a recent prostate examination carried out by Dr. Dougal McLargefinger, but that's a story for another time. And I'm honoured to propose this particular toast because the toast to the lassies is one of the most important toasts of the evening, if not the most important. Also, I've been constantly reminded by all the ladies present. There are, of course, great differences between men and those of the fairer sex. Since an early age, I've been scratching my head and trying to work out why we're so different, all to no avail. If anyone could explain the following to me, I would indeed be indebted. Why do women always need to go to the lavatory in pairs? I can only assume that there's a secret bar in there operating a two-person lane priority system. Why do women spend 3 hours going to different shops, only to return to the very first shop that you saw the perfect item in? And why do ladies always decline a dessert, only to eye up ours, and then proclaim, maybe I'll just have a little bit of yours before devouring it all? Sure, I'll never work it out. As a younger man, I thought I'd learn more about the different sexes by working behind a bar. But all I saw was men, at the end of the evening, looking into their pint glasses and saying, I love you, to their beer, instead of to a nearby lassie. And it was at that point I observed some important differences between women and beer. A beer doesn't mind if you've got beer on your breath. A beer is happy to spend for you to spend all of your money on beer, and a beer doesn't mind if you go off with another beer. Unlike me, Robert Burns knew a thing or two about women. In a period of just 11 years, he is known to have fathered at least 13 children by at least 5 different women, and all without the help of Tinder. Granted, he was a Scot, and they are known for their way with women, but it was quick work indeed for any man. And by all accounts, these women were lookers, going by names such as Handsome Nell and Anna with golden locks. Burns, of course, could not have attained the status he has for so long, were it not for the fact that he was surrounded by remarkable women. They raised him from the man he was to be the iconic Scotsman whose poems have rung down the ages. He held them very dear to his heart and looked at them as a source of comfort, a source of inspiration, and a source of strength. Although he was incredibly promiscuous, he genuinely adored women, and his declarations of love are still some of the most famous ever written. Oh, my love's like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. Oh, my love's like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair art thou, my bonny lass, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas can dry. till all the seas run dry. That seems like quite a long time. This Burns fella was definitely in it for the long haul. Many men since Burns have been inspired by the lassies in their lives. They've poured their hearts out into beautiful lyrics that we've all come to know. All You Need Is Love by Paul McCartney. How Wonderful Life Is, Now You're in the World by Elton John. It's a bit debatable whether that's how you word. And You're My First, My Last, My Everything by Barry White. All beautiful lyrics. But what lyrics do us guys get in return? Does he wash up? He never washes up. Does he clean up? No, he never cleans up. Does he brush up? No, he never brushed up. He does nothing. That boy does nothing. Thank you, Alicia Dixon. It has been said that there are 3 rings in marriage. The engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffering. I, for one, do not subscribe to such thoughts. Indeed, since my own wedding, I've been often told by my beautiful wife not to have any thoughts at all. It has also been said that behind every great man is a great woman. And I believe that's a much truer saying. And it's as true today as it always was. Compared to their English counterparts, Celtic women enjoyed an unusual degree of freedom by the standards known in the ancient and medieval worlds. They were renowned for their individuality and their courage, and were particularly praised for their qualities of self-respect and independence. Celtic women could inherit land and title, no less than their male siblings. And succession within their tribes and clans was down the female line. Even back in the time of Robert Burns, a woman could serve as chief of the clan and enter into battle just as men did. The ferocity of the Celtic woman warrior is the subject of legend. A woman could divorce her husband if he failed to support her or treat her with respect, if he was impotent, homosexual, sterile, or gossiped about their sex lives. And she could also leave him if he was fat, if he was a snorer, or just plain repulsive. See some women here nodding in agreement. South of the border, the English were not so progressive. It took a lot of courageous women to change how things were done, in particular the efforts of the suffragette movement leading up to the First World War. During that time, women were not even allowed to graduate from university, although they were allowed to attend some lectures. This was met with disapproval by one Oxford Don, who ignored the presence of females in his lectures and would always start his talks with the word gentleman. As the men went off to war, the females outnumbered the men, but he would still insist on starting with the word gentleman. There came a point where only one man was present in a sea of intelligent women. So how did he start off? Well, he started off with the word sir. That man went off to help the war effort, and when the sexist professor entered the lecture hall, he looked at the female-only faces and was heard to mutter, well, if no one's going to attend my talks, I'm off to the pub. And off he went. Quite outrageous. Thankfully, times have changed. Women, quite rightly, have the vote. They strive for equal pay and equal status, and so they should. Nowadays, women hold the highest roles and jobs. In Lancaster, they seem to rule the roost when it comes to the fields of education and psychology. Robert Burns constantly argued that women were the intellectual and social equals of men. However, I think he was doing them an injustice, and that lassies are in fact our intellectual and social superiors. The relationship between men and women is repeatedly echoed in the animal kingdom and can be clearly seen in the relationship between men and dolphins. Dolphins are a bit like ladies. They're with you, this one. They're extremely intelligent, they're fun to be with, they're smiley, they're sleek and good movers. It's absolutely incredible how in only a few weeks a dolphin can train a man to stand at the side of a pool and provide fish for them whenever they want it. All of us men must stand side by side with the Lassies in their fight for female equality, as unfortunately it has been said that whatever women do, they must do it twice as well as men to be thought half as good. If you're ever in any doubt, look at the recent winners of Strictly Come Dancing, Jay McGuinness and Aliona Villani. Jay was the one who was pronounced the winner, but Aliona did everything he did, but she also did it backwards and in high-heeled shoes. Robert Burns knew that men would never fully understand women, but for all our faults, we would ever be enthralled to women. To see her is to love her, and love but her forever, for nature made her what she is, and never made another. Gentlemen, I'd ask you to grab a glass of whiskey from the table and raise it up in a toast. Grab a glass of whiskey, chaps. A toast to the Lassies. The Lassies!
The Lassies.